The greatest epic movies ever made, Spartacus for 1960 is always right near the top of the list. Massive battles, unforgettable performances, bold political themes, and that legendary ending. This movie didn't just tell a story, it made history. But behind the sword, sandals, and speeches is a whole world of secrets, controversies, power struggles, and near disasters that most fans never hear about. This wasn't just a movie about a slave revolt. It was a rebellion behind the scenes too. Careers were saved, others were destroyed, and Hollywood itself was permanently changed by what happened during the making of Spartacus. So today we're diving deep into 20 hidden facts about Spartacus, 1960, that will completely change the way you see this classic. Fact 1. Kirk Douglas didn't just star, he took over. Most people know Kirk Douglas as the intense, commanding star of Spartacus. What a lot of people don't realize is that this movie basically exists because of him. Douglas wasn't just acting, he was producing the film through his own company, Brenna Productions. And when things started going sideways during production, he didn't hesitate to step in and take control. Originally, director Anthony Mann was hired to direct the movie. But just a week into filming, Douglas felt Mann wasn't delivering the epic scale and emotional power he wanted. So Douglas made a bold, risky decision. He fired Mann on the spot. That kind of move was almost unheard of at the time, especially by an actor. Douglas then brought in a young director named Stanley Kubrick, someone he had worked with before, but who was far from a Hollywood legend yet. That decision completely reshaped the movie. Douglas wasn't just Spartacus on screen, he was Spartacus off-screen, too, leading a revolt against the usual studio power structure. Fact 2. Stanley Kubrick didn't have full control. Today, Stanley Kubrick is remembered as one of the greatest directors in film history, known for total creative control. But Spartacus is the one movie where that reputation doesn't fully apply. Kubrick was hired mid-production, inherited a massive cast and crew, and had to answer to Kirk Douglas and Universal Studios. Kubrick didn't choose the script, the cast, or even the project itself. He later admitted that Spartacus never felt like his movie. There were constant disagreements over tone, performances, and editing. Kubrick wanted darker, more complex characters, while the studio pushed for a traditional heroic epic. Because of this experience, Kubrick vowed never to direct another film unless he had complete creative control. In a strange way, Spartacus helped create the Stanley Kubrick we know today by showing him exactly what he never wanted to go through again. Fact 3. The movie quietly ended the Hollywood blacklist. One of the most important hidden facts about Spartacus has nothing to do with gladiators or Roman armies. It has everything to do with politics. During the 1950s, Hollywood was gripped by the anti-communist blacklist. Writers, directors, and actors suspected of leftist views were banned from working under their own names. The screenplay for Spartacus was written by Dalton Trumbo, one of the most famous blacklisted writers. For years, Trumbo had been forced to write under fake names. But Kirk Douglas made a historic decision. He insisted Trumbo be credited under his real name on the screen. That single act helped break the blacklist power. When audiences saw Trumbo's name openly credited, it sent a message that the era of fear was ending. President John F. Kennedy even crossed a protest line to see the movie, which further legitimized the decision. Spartacus didn't just change cinema, it changed Hollywood's moral backbone. Fact 4. I'm Spartacus wasn't just a line, it was a statement. The I'm Spartacus scene is one of the most iconic moments in movie history. But what makes it even more powerful is the meaning behind it. On the surface, it's about loyalty and sacrifice. But underneath, it was a clear metaphor for the Hollywood blacklist. Each slave standing up and claiming to be Spartacus represented artists who refused to name names during the blacklist era. Screenwriter Dalton Trumbo intentionally wrote the scene as a statement about solidarity and resistance. These men weren't just protecting Spartacus, they were protecting each other. At the time, audiences understood exactly what this scene meant. It was brave, emotional, and quietly revolutionary. That one moment turned Spartacus from a historical epic into a political landmark. Fact 5. Laurence Olivier and Tony Curtis hated each other. On screen, Laurence Olivier and Tony Curtis share a tense, unforgettable scene. Off-screen, the tension was very real. Olivier, a classically trained British actor, reportedly looked down on Curtis, who he saw as a pretty boy Hollywood star with limited range. Curtis, on the other hand, felt intimidated and frustrated working with someone of Olivier's reputation. The clash of acting styles and egos made their scenes together extremely uncomfortable. But instead of ruining the movie, that tension actually worked in its favor. The coldness, hostility, and power struggle you see between their characters wasn't entirely acting. Kubrick smartly leaned into it, allowing the real-life friction to enhance the drama. Fact 6. The snails and oysters scene was censored. One of the most talked about scenes in Spartacus is also one most audiences didn't see for years. The famous snails and oysters conversation between Laurence Olivier and Tony Curtis was a coded reference to bisexuality, something completely taboo in mainstream Hollywood at the time. Because of strict censorship rules, the scene was cut after the initial release. It wasn't restored until decades later, and even then, there was a problem. Olivier had passed away and his voice needed to be re-recorded. Anthony Hopkins was brought in to dub Olivier's lines, carefully matching his tone and delivery. Today, the scene is recognized as groundbreaking, subtle, and incredibly bold for its era. Fact 7. Thousands of extras were real soldiers. The massive battle scenes in Spartacus look incredibly realistic, and there's a reason for that. Many of the extras playing Roman soldiers were actual members of the Spanish army. The Spanish government provided thousands of troops to help stage the epic battle sequences. These soldiers followed real military formations, marched in perfect synchronization, and handled weapons with discipline that no group of extras could fake. Kubrick took full advantage of this, shooting wide shots that emphasized scale and order. The result was one of the most convincing large-scale battle scenes ever filmed, all without modern CGI. Fact 8. Kirk Douglas nearly lost his eye. During one of the battle scenes, Kirk Douglas came dangerously close to serious injury. In a chaotic moment involving weapons and horses, a sword came within inches of his face. Douglas later said that if the angle had been slightly different, he could have lost an eye. Despite the danger, Douglas insisted on performing many of his own stunts. He believed Spartacus had to feel real, physical, and exhausting, and he was willing to take the risks to make that happen. Fact 9. The film was almost 4 hours long. Kubrick shot an enormous amount of footage, much more than what audiences eventually saw. Early cuts of Spartacus ran close to 4 hours. Universal Studios feared that such a long runtime would limit screenings and hurt box office returns. The movie was trimmed down significantly, with entire character moments and subplots removed. Over the years, restorations have brought some of that footage back, but even today, historians believe a fully complete version no longer exists. Fact 10. Gene Simmons was pregnant during filming. Gene Simmons delivers a powerful and emotional performance as Varinia, but many viewers never noticed that she was pregnant during part of the production. Costume designers cleverly adjusted her wardrobe, using loose fabrics and strategic camera angles to hide it. This actually added an unintended layer of realism to her character's story, especially as Varinia's pregnancy becomes central to the plot. Fact 11. The movie changed how epics were made. Before Spartacus, historical epics often focused more on spectacle than character. This film balanced massive action with emotional depth, moral complexity, and political themes. Later epics like Gladiator and Braveheart owe a huge debt to Spartacus. It proved that epic movies could be both huge and meaningful. Fact 12. Kubrick secretly res-hot scenes. Even though Kubrick didn't have full control, he still found ways to shape the movie. He quietly res-hot certain scenes, refining performances and adjusting tone whenever possible. Some actors didn't even realize their scenes were being reworked until much later. This subtle influence is one reason Spartacus still feels more modern than many films from its era. Fact 13. The ending was controversial. The crucifixion ending shocked audiences in 1960. It was brutal, tragic, and unflinchingly sad, not the triumphant finale many expected. But that was exactly the point. Spartacus may have lost the battle, but his ideas survived. That ending turned the story into a timeless symbol of resistance. Fact 14. The music almost went in a different direction. Composer Alex North created one of the most emotional scores of the era, but the studio initially wanted something more traditional and bombastic. Kubrick fought to keep North's subtle, haunting themes, especially for the love story. Thankfully, North's score remained and became iconic. Fact 15. The movie faced international backlash. Some countries considered Spartacus too political, too violent, or too morally challenging. Certain scenes were censored or cut entirely for international release, despite that the film became a worldwide success. Fact 16. Kirk Douglas felt this was his greatest achievement. Out of all his films, Kirk Douglas often cited Spartacus as the one he was most proud of, not just artistically, but morally. He believed standing up for Dalton Trumbo mattered more than any box office record. Fact 17. The costumes were historically influential. While not perfectly accurate, the costumes in Spartacus shaped how pop culture imagines ancient Rome to this day. Gladiator armor, Roman uniforms, and slave clothing all became visual templates. Fact 18. The film won 4 Oscars. Despite controversy, Spartacus won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Supporting Actor for Peter Ustinov. It was Hollywood's way of acknowledging greatness, even amid discomfort. Fact 19. Kubrick rarely talked about the film. Kubrick almost never discussed Spartacus in interviews. Some see this as dismissal, but others believe he respected the film even if it wasn't fully his vision. Fact 20. Spartacus became a symbol, not just a movie. Today, Spartacus isn't just remembered as a film. It's a symbol of artistic courage, political resistance, and cinematic ambition. Few movies can claim that kind of legacy. So next time you watch Spartacus, remember you're not just watching an epic about ancient Rome. You're watching a movie that fought real battles behind the scenes and helped change Hollywood forever. If you enjoyed these hidden facts, don't forget to subscribe, and tell us which classic movie you want uncovered next.